All right, we will start with a public hearing, and this is regarding additional appropriations, and actually, this is regarding clarity that we've recently received on the ARP funds. Not realizing we had to do an additional appropriation for them, but turns out we do indeed, correct, Jan?
Yeah, that's correct.
Very last page.
Yeah.
So we had to put the ad in the paper advertising that we're spending 80,000 of that money that we received. So I put the ad in the paper, and the public hearing is tonight, what we're doing right now. So
And that was for the...
this is for the radios. that
Yes.
we bought.
Which was covered under the safety measures under ARP. So basically, it's for money that's already been spent and was allocated appropriately, just did not realize, we just been made aware that we need to actually do an additional appropriation for procedural standpoint. So any questions or comments from the council or anybody in the room?
Do we have the radios?
Yes,
Working on that new system yet?
they are not working on the new system yet. The constructor of the towers had some remediation work that they had to correct, and that's been corrected, and they're back finishing up the details. They should be on very shortly.
Is that the tower that's on 227?
No, that's a new 5G cell phone tower.
Oh. Okay.
Any other questions? Good question. Any other questions or comments? All right, well, now I will hereby close the public hearing at 6:02 PM. And at this time, if everyone would please rise, pledge allegiance, and remain standing for the prayer. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to gather here this evening, and I would like to ask for your blessing of strength and comfort upon the Hernandez family. I pray for your peace upon their household. I pray for a peace that surpasses all understanding. And I thank you for the blessing that he was to numerous families in this community. It's a solemn reminder of how precious life is. Each individual in this room has probably lost a loved one within the last few years, and if not, a solemn reminder that it's inevitable. And so, may it be a call to us in terms of what's important in our lives, loving one another, the way we treat one another, the way we look out for one another, the way we care for one another. And how precious life is. And how we can lose sight over some of the petty things that we deal with from day to day. So the problems in our lives that we allow to consume us and lose sight of what's truly important. We thank you that your word stands true. And we thank you for the opportunity again this evening, and we pray for your guidance, we pray for your wisdom, and we give thanks, all thanks. We give all glory and praise to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Jan, if you would, roll call.
Brandon Nolan.
Present.
Todd Lay.
Here.
Nathan Coco.
Here.
Ken Heiss.
Here.
Peter Frias.
Here.
Consent agenda. I have trust you've had an opportunity to review the consent agenda. And if there's any comments or questions, I'd field them at this time. If not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I will move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Consent agenda approved as submitted. On a lighter note, the park, if you notice, is slowly but surely getting transformed for Community Christmas, and maybe a lot of people haven't noticed, because I had a gentleman stop me the other day. He was from, where was he? He was from over in Ohio somewhere, a little ways away, and his first time he'd come over to play disc golf, and he commented on the lights, because he thought they were chains hanging from the trees at first, and they looked closer and noticed they were Christmas lights. I shared with him what they were for, and we will be lighting the day after Thanksgiving as usual. Community Christmas will. I know that sounds awful to be talking Christmas when it's 80 degrees and sunny outside, but believe it or not, we're just a month and a half from that day. So it doesn't feel like it, but it's coming quickly. The covered bridge, we'll start greasing this skid now. The covered bridge has been slowed for completion, but it will be completed. We met with John Goodhue of Goodhue Roofing this afternoon, and out of the graciousness of his heart, and obviously for opportunity to get his name out there as well too, but he's taken on quite a responsibility on his own and his business in doing the roof for both the covered bridge and the rail tower on his dime, materials and labor. That's a blessing beyond blessing.
Wow.
That's huge. We already have, Community Christmas, as you know, council graciously voted last year to support the covered bridge construction. And then the head of Community Christmas said no. Community Christmas was very blessed last year. They want to cover the whole thing. So that was already off the city's coffers, but then turn around and he'd already purchased the roofing for that. So now that roofing, we're going to work to allocate that elsewhere, like maybe there's always opportunities. So, but a tremendous blessing nonetheless. So anyway, I want to give hats off to John Goodhue and his firm, and we're going to certainly continue to recognize them in future endeavors for what they've done or what they will be doing. Another positive note, Kobe sent this, our chief of police sent this to me the other day, and I was like, holy cow, I've got to recognize that. And he did not send that to me for this reason. He's looking at me like, what are you going to say? 37 yards, is that right? What was the number of yards?
Started out with 37 this summer.
37 yards is how many were being mowed this summer by the city. They were down to 10. So tremendous efforts made on behalf of our chief of police and our ordinance officer, Jamie Wright, and their crew. Just a tremendous job. That's huge. That's phenomenal. Kudos.
And Jan.
And Jan, thank you, Jan. Seriously, that takes unfortunately, the average individual, and myself included, even from my position, even being in the city, doesn't understand all the details it takes to execute this process. A, to get it up to 37 yards and to follow through and getting them mowed, but then B, to whittle it down to 10, ensuring that the homeowners or property owners are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And so, great job. That's huge. Because that is an excessive burden on the city that it should not have to contend with, but unfortunately has. But you guys have made it a much easier pill to swallow, so outstanding job. Department heads reports, do you have anything you wanted to offer, Chief? Jan, anything?
No, I just wanted to announce that we have new software for our customers, our water customers, to get online and pay their bill. Now when they get online, they can see what their bill is and what they owe. We went live with that about a week and a half ago. They would need their account number to get online to do it. And they also can get online by going to the website and scrolling down and selecting pay your bill online. So if they have any questions, they can contact the city building. That's all I have.
Thank you. Council members, Tito, we'll start with you this time.
Yes, I know we've spoken about this before, because I'd asked about it before. But people keep asking me about it, so I just thought I would bring it up again, just to, give the city a chance to clarify things for people. And indeed, in looking through our accounts payable register, I see that we bought flooring, electricity, paid for the ceiling trim, we paid electric bills, we bought light fixtures, electrical supplies, building materials, hood system, exhaust, and duct, flooring and adhesive, et cetera, all for 215 North Columbia, which is where Roots plans to set up shop. We got a little bit for 232 and 236 West Pearl. These are buildings the city is intending to sell.
Yeah, these
right?
are buildings that are currently owned by the city, correct?
Currently owned by the city. That's important to underline for people.
Correct.
We've also made purchases like this in previous months on behalf of the coffee shop, and people are asking, why are we purchasing materials and equipment for this?
You're asking that.
That's the question that I'm asking.
Easy question. These are, and good question, but easy question. That's totally within our jurisdiction, totally within our realm of capability, because those are, again, city-owned buildings. And our job as a city is to be good stewards of everything that's within our purview. Everything that's under our realm, we are to be good stewards of it. So maybe we need to go back a little bit. How long do you think those buildings were empty? Weeks, months, years? Decades?
Decades, some of them, yeah.
Decades, some of them. Properties that were not earning any money whatsoever, okay? So the problem was, when I took over office, our previous mayor worked very fervently to address our infrastructure and the tax caps that completely altered the way small communities are able to operate years ago, and really hamstrung a lot of small communities. And evidence, if you drive not too far away from here, you'll see a lot of communities that are, in tough shape. So a lot of that work was done. So when I come on board, what I want to do is carry the ball and address the downtown and housing, because that's what everything I've sought to do has not been just some whim or some flight of fancy. It's been everything that's been conveyed to me by citizens. I've fielded, I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've fielded comments about what we're going to do about the empty buildings, what we're going to do. We need a coffee shop, or we need places to eat downtown, we need this, we need that, we need to, and everybody wants something, but not everybody's willing to do what it takes to get something. I give you the person wanting to lose weight. I give you the person that's wanting to get in shape. I give you the person that's wanting to quit smoking. I give you on and on and on. Everyday life in all of our lives, and the people that have talked to you about this, I guarantee they've got their vices in their lives, things they want to do or accomplish, but there's a price you have to pay to accomplish that, to achieve that. There's a sacrifice. It's the same thing if you have faith in your life. If you make that commitment to faith, you sacrifice something. It's that in everything. When you sit down to watch a TV, you're sacrificing something. You're sacrificing time with a loved one or something. You're doing something. You can't do everything at once. You have to give up something to get something. And so if we're going to have a thriving community, if we're going to have the offerings that citizens clamored for, if we're going to have payback on square footage downtown that was not generating any revenue at all, therefore not doing anybody any good from a citizens or tax base, if we're going to change that, then we've got to change the way we've conducted business and the way we've done things. And so the route we took was, okay, we've got these buildings, we need to do something about them, so we're going to do everything we can to rehabilitate them, and if we have businesses that have expressed interest in them, then we're going to see what they have to offer. If what they have to offer meets what the community has stated they want, then we're going to proceed, but every penny will be accounted for, is accounted for, as you see from there, because you see everything that's been bought. Mm-hmm. And so that becomes then, therefore, the agreement of what they owe if they were to own that building. It needs to be stated that if they would default on that, that all is retained under the city. So the idea is to protect every last penny invested on behalf of the taxpayers, because that's our job. But thinking long-term, broader, is those dollars are invested, those businesses come to town, those businesses succeed, those businesses have more employees, those businesses generate more tax dollars, and in turn, consumers have more offerings to take part in from a community standpoint. It's designed, I know it's cliche, but it's designed to be a win-win, is what it's designed to be. That's all I got. Sorry, that's the goal. And hopefully, if you've had a chance to be downtown, hopefully you've noticed a change. Hopefully you've noticed a positive change. Now, not everybody's going to be happy with change. And I'm sorry. There's going to be negative responses. I used to say a long time ago, and this is back before I was on council, but when I used to see how vitriolic people could be towards others or towards situations, because they had their own, well, I think what it was is everybody's broken, okay? Tito, you know that, I'm going to call it out. You're a Christian, right? I'm going to call it, I am too. We're brothers in Christ. So you know as a brother in Christ, you know people in general are broken. And it's not to be negative, it's not to be bad, it's just we all don't work the way we're intended to work. We all have our sinful bent, if you will. A lot of people think, well, I'm a pretty good person, Well, the bad thing is it's clarified in the Bible, if you've even thought ill of someone, if you've hated someone in your heart, you're a murderer. Sorry, you are. You're a murderer. And so we're all in that boat together. There's nobody that, your grandma is not better than anybody else. I know as much as I love my grandparents, we're all in that boat together. So unfortunately, there's going to be people that, because they can't see through that fog that they're in of being upset, they're going to find flaws and stuff. And that's their right. That's the beauty of it. This country and under God too, which it says, I'm not saying anything I can't say, it's on the dollar bill and your coins and everything. It says, in God we trust. He gives you that right to make your choice. You can either hate something or you love something. It's up to you. He makes it very clear which path, what the outcome's going to be at the end. If you want to talk to me about that later, I'll be glad to. But I'm just telling you, everybody has a choice. So I know some people are not going to be happy with change. That's the rub. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm sorry, I'm not going to stop. I'm not stopping, and we're not stopping as a community. We're not. Because this country is founded on a democracy. In other words, the majority voice wins. And I'm telling you right now, if you're watching this or listening to this or however you may be acquiring this information, and if you have a negative perception of what's going on, it's important for you to know that you are outbid or outvoted. And I don't mean because you didn't vote for me or didn't vote for this council or whatnot. I don't mean that. I mean the democracy, the majority of the community has spoken. They want to see change. They want to see nicer houses or better houses. They want to see businesses that they can shop at and tend to. They want to see non-empty, dilapidated buildings downtown. They want a community they can be proud of. Not that they're not proud of it already, but that pride can grow certainly in where they live. And because of that, I'm not stopping. And if anybody wants to talk to me personally about what they've witnessed and what they've seen and the way we've gone about it, my door is always open. It always is. And I will not judge. Your opinion is valued, but it is your opinion. Okay? If you're negative about all this, remember, that's an opinion. Just because you think it doesn't mean it's fact. So, sorry, Tito, I didn't mean to go off on that.
No, that's good, and just so you know, any, like 99.99% of the feedback I'm getting is very positive, like gushing, joy and pleasure at the progress that we're seeing in downtown Union City, and applause, and please convey our thanks to Mayor Spence and to the council. That's what I'm hearing.
I appreciate that, but again, I am wrong if I take any of that. Because I give all thanks to God. And I don't mean to turn this into some religious council meeting or this religious platform, but I'm serious. If you want to know who me is, who I am, this isn't any of my doing. We don't have the shirts on our backs without God. I mean, made this gavel? Would this gavel have any right to say, look at me, look how great I am, look at what I can do? This gavel's nothing without its maker. This gavel didn't sculpt itself. This gavel didn't carve itself out of wood. You're no different, and neither am I. I didn't make myself, and I didn't put the very breath that's in my lungs, okay? That's not me. It's all thanks to God. And I take very seriously the scripture in the Bible that talks about the three guys of the parable where they were each given so many talents, so much money. And this is where I'll stop. Okay, the three guys were given money. One guy was given a couple coins. The other guy was given like 3 or 4 coins. The other guy was given like 5 coins. I'm not going to get the exact amount right. And the business owner said, go out and, go make use of it. The one guy, he exponentially increased his earnings. And the business owner said, great job. Here's more. Go do more work. Awesome job. Second guy, he increased his a little bit. Not as much as the first guy, but he still increased it. Business owner said, awesome, way to go. I'm going to give you a little bit more. Go out and do some more. Third one, buried it. Did nothing. Nothing. He left the buildings empty. He left the houses dilapidated. He did nothing because he said, sir, I've known you to be a shrewd businessman. I want to make sure I protected what you gave me. The businessman, what do you think he did? He scolded him. And Jesus' analogy is basically send him to hell. He said, I gave you something to be a good steward of, and you did nothing with it. Did nothing. And that should raise the hairs on the back of some people's necks. Because what you have is not your own. You didn't earn it by your own accord. And so you're called to do more with what you're given. And so that's exactly what we're trying to do. And man, I have said way too much. I'm so sorry. So go ahead.
I have nothing to follow up on that.
Sorry, and that's not direct to you. You know where I'm coming from.
I do.
So. Tim, do you?
I will add something for you though. One of the things that has happened through this whole process is through going back to when Chad and I were on council and Mayor Conklin was here, had a lot of vision, and one of the things we identified with all the progress we made were obstacles. Mm-hmm. And especially with downtown buildings, major obstacles. And one of the things that has been done in recent time here is identify the obstacles and figure out how to traverse those and get around them or get over those and make things happen, practically and legally and so forth, and get us to the progress we have now. And I think it's working pretty well.
Wow.
So
appreciate that. Definitely, all thanks be to God.
And
we're not suffering from delusions of grandeur either. We don't think we're done. We know we're not done. We've only begun.
No, there's a lot to go.
There's a long way to go. But thank you.
Yeah.
If I can recapitulate, I'm sorry, I should have done this one. So basically, the answer is that we're buying these things to keep the buildings. That all of these things will be sold as part of the.
Exactly.
So they're all going to be like paid down by the eventual buyers.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So no skin off the taxpayers' back.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. The idea is getting back on the tax roll.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's the plan. Because otherwise, they were just sitting there dilapidated and not doing anything for anybody. So. Anything?
A couple things. I know we've got Mallory from Child Advocacy Group here shortly. And I did this a couple months ago, and I forgot to do this when the Motley Shop opened. If you've not been to the Motley Shop and ice cream place, go check it out. I hadn't been there since they were doing dry cleaning. That's how long it had been since I'd been in that building. And so now I think I've been there 4 or 5 times in the last couple weeks. Their ice cream's delicious if you haven't tried it, and feel free to wander around the antique side. That was unique, a building that had no reason to go in. It was just cool to be building on this concept. The ice cream shop literally was in a building not being used at all. Antique shop was not seeing foot traffic like it could have. Put the two together, it's working. And then Hometown Coffee. I don't know if anybody's been there. I think I've been there 5 times and they've opened a week ago. I've got a 3-week-old baby, mind you, so caffeine is what's driving me. They also have some very good sandwiches, and it's a great place to just sit and catch up to people. If you don't want to go sit at Pizza Hut or you want to get change of scenery, they've got some great lunch sandwiches. A couple options there, and if you've not had their cinnamon rolls, Saturday morning it's a fight. If you're not there by 9 a.m., they're gone. But two fantastic business owners in town, and hopefully they will be building owners. I know the one is a building owner, but then the coffee shop, let's hope that goes through according to plan. So other than that, I've heard more and more positive things, but also, I mean, there's also a spin to it, and everybody wants to see something different, and we can take that into account and try to work with it and explain why it's not possible at this time.
Yep.
But
Absolutely.
I think we're moving forward really well. So,
Awesome.
that's all I've got.
Go ahead.
I don't have anything.
Okay. Sorry. Brandon?
So, the Randolph County Solid Waste Management Board met on October 4th, a week ago today. Just a couple of quick things from the meeting. They are going to shut down for the season on October the 16th. That's the last normal day of operations. However, they, because of increased demand, we're actually going to have a day in November and December. It would be the third Saturday of each month, so that'd be November 20th and December 18th. So,
And what
Yeah.
all can they take as a reminder?
I'm sorry, what?
What all can they take as a reminder to
Electronics, monitors, those types of things, tires, paint, solvents. There's actually a hand guide of things. Actually, Bob has one on his desk right here. That'll kind of guide you through, what they take, how to prepare it if you do take it over. For example, like, paint. There's a special way that you do it. I think. And what have you. So that's all available to you guys out there at Pollution Solution.
Good share. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
No, good deal. Presenters, we do have an addendum. We're gonna, Mallory, if you don't mind, Mallory Stevenson with Child Advocacy Group is gonna go ahead and give us a little presentation. So thank you.
I can count to 5 maybe. Thank you for having me and adding me to the agenda. So I'm from the Children's Advocacy Center, Randolph County. The City of Union City was a generous supporter of us as we were launching last year. We have just hit the 1-year mark in our 2-year implementation process. So a reminder of what our purpose is we are the coordinator of the county's multidisciplinary team when there is a report of child abuse or neglect. We have worked to bring Randolph County out of the 80s, and what that response looks like. We have written and implemented a protocol, and the goal is that the response to these reports of child abuse and neglect will be the same no matter where in the county that happens, and that'll be a high quality evidence best practice response. So looking at the data when we were developing this, if you remember, Randolph and Jay were the only 2 counties in the state that didn't have a process like this. So we knew that we needed one, but we didn't have a lot of data to work with because we've never had it. So looking at the numbers that we did have, we estimated that we would have about 80 cases in the first year. And our breakdown was we had 140 cases come through the center. 119 of those have been Randolph County. So total number of victims served has been 241. So that is primary victims, which are the children, and then the secondary victims, which are their caregivers. And all of the research and evidence, which I'm sure Ray's sick of me saying that word, shows that the best chance that these kids have at recovering and healing and their kind of outlook on life is what the response to that report is, and also the support that their caregivers have. And I included in there kind of the breakdown for our Randolph County cases, showing the percentage of what types of victimization we have seen, and then the ages. And I think it's important to note that many of the cases that come through are polyvictimization, so more often than not, we see several of these categories in the cases that come through. Our other big exciting progress we made in the first year was the prevention initiative. So Randolph County was also a little behind on our prevention programming, so we were able to seek the funding to provide the state mandated evidence-based prevention programming for all Randolph County students, K through 12 for the next 3 school years. And along with that, we have launched the Prevent 360 initiative that we also have funding to train Randolph County's adults. Because training and educating our students is only one piece of the puzzle. If the adults don't also have the knowledge and understanding of the dynamics of child abuse and that same common language as we're teaching the students, that level of prevention stops right there. So that is the progress we've made in the first year. We have seen, as anticipated, with back to school in August, as things have returned to normal somewhat from COVID. I think we saw a 40% jump in the reports that came through the DCS hotline in August, and we're seeing that kind of increase. And this will be the first year that Randolph County schools have had this prevention programming in every school and every grade. So we knew that we had a lot of work to do, and the COVID pandemic just kind of highlighted that and multiplied that by 100. So we are seeking ARP funds to supplement our programs, our crisis intervention that we do for every family, enhance services to those families who are in the child welfare world. Our biggest, I think, important piece that is hard to quantify is the fact that we are kind of the safety net. So when there is a report, at that onset, there's a big official response. Law enforcement, DCS, everybody is involved right at that moment. But 2 weeks, 2 months, 6 months down the line, oftentimes those families are kind of left out there without much support. Law enforcement's doing an investigation that gets forwarded to the prosecutor's office. That can take 2 years. And if the perpetrator is not the caregiver, DCS closes out that assessment, and those families are just kind of left to struggle. So that is where our advocacy program comes in, and what the majority of these our funds that we are requesting would go towards is increasing those services that we're able to refer families to, and hopefully bring more of those right here in the county.
I've got a question for you, Mallory. The number of forensic interviews, what percentage, which parts of the county see bigger utilization of this?
That's a good question. So it depends on if you're looking, so we go by like law enforcement jurisdiction, so where the alleged crime was committed,
Okay.
whether or not the child lives there or not. So I would say that I think Randolph, the county jurisdiction is first, and then Union City, and then Winchester, and then all of our smaller municipalities are picked up by the county.
Okay.
Questions?
So you are requesting ARP funds, American Rescue Plan funds,
Yes.
for that? I think I do remember this being an eligible
Health and
expense
social services.
Absolutely.
for that, and one that I advocated for, just
Yes,
saying.
exactly.
Only 10,000?
Well, hopefully something bigger that we're about to present to everybody very shortly. So
Next council meeting?
I'm right, so.
I was gonna ask.
Because, yeah, and trust me, you'll be fully vested in what's, fully informed of what's we're trying to work on.
This $10,000 amount would specifically be earmarked in general funds for the pieces of salary and program administration and all of those things that most of our grants do not cover, but without those, we can't function. So that's what this chunk of the money would be earmarked for.
Kobe, your guys' enjoying working with Mallory? No complaints?
They absolutely do.
Okay.
And if I could speak to this organization, if anything could have a nucleus in this type of field, that would be this organization. She's reached out to law enforcement, CPS, kind of brought everybody together as a team, and now is managing that, and it's working very well. So I mean, my guys are always at meetings, they're always talking to her and other CPS, something that we've actually been looking for years. So, you know, I don't know exactly everything she does, I would not pretend to know that, but whatever she is doing, it's doing a great job for Randolph County. And it's been a much needed service for a long time. So.
Good. I'll interject here. I would normally be the first one to bring this up, but because I'm on the board, I'm gonna abstain from the vote, so.
So what do you want me to ask on your behalf?
That you approve that, what she's asking?
Are you making requests of other
Yes.
jurisdictions?
Yep.
Okay, I want to make that, I was pretty sure I knew the answer to that
Yes,
question,
they
but I
are.
thought it needed to be said out loud.
Good clarity.
Yeah, we're requesting the same amount
we-
from Winchester and then a larger amount from the county.
We'd like, yeah, because I think everybody needs to participate in that, and not that I
Right.
hesitate to
Oh, I
in
see.
any way.
Okay.
So,
So question to here then with Chad, you said that something like this is in the plan that will get to us maybe next meeting. Is it appropriate then to ask
Do both.
us to vote?
Do both. Excuse me.
Yeah, it is, because this, what she's asking for is pertaining to what they do, functionality,
Oh, I see.
and in providing the service. What I would be proposing to you soon would involve potential location, if I could leave it at that and
Okay.
be clear enough without being overly showing every card.
Okay,
So I need to be, a reason why, and I apologize, I hate.
He's playing coy for.
Yeah, I apologize, I loathe politics for one thing, it's the second time I've said that sentence today. But it's in respect for a property owner that is part of this potential presentation in 2 weeks, that I can't overstep my boundaries in respect of the property owners. Because I don't have clarity from them as to what decision they have come to. And I know now, that's probably really as clear as mud to you now, but
Okay.
it will be revealed. But this is specific, what she's making ask for is specific to the services being offered. And that's gonna take place whether, regardless, it's taking place in Winchester for the whole county right now. So, which benefits Union City.
if nobody else has any questions, I'll make the motion that we grant $10,000 to the Child Advocacy Center of Randolph County
I'll second.
for the purposes stated by.
Super. We have a first and second. Jan, if you would, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore?
Yes.
Bob Leahy?
Yes.
Nathan Conklin? All abstain, sorry.
Abstaining, but professionally love the idea.
Just throwing that out there.
Excuse me, personally love the idea, not professionally.
Yes.
Thank you so much, and thank you for what you do.
Absolutely, thank you guys for all you do.
That's a blessing. All right. Old business. Hey, Mom. The famous determine the height of fences, walls, and hedges update. Do we have an update on either?
I don't have any update because
Because you were
Ryan
meeting
and I
with
have
Ryan,
not
that's
met
right.
yet because
Okay.
he's not been prepared to meet yet at this
Okay.
point, so.
Next one's the 21.
Since we have Chief here, do you have anything that you wanna share on the department's behalf with that?
I haven't been here for all the discussions, but I think what ordinance we do have is probably more than hefty. But again, I haven't seen the wording of the new ordinance either.
Okay.
So
We
I
have
will abstain from too much.
But I totally agree with what you said.
The ordinance to, regarding the second reading for budget estimates, that's 2021-13. This is what was approved in the first reading and the last meeting. There's been no changes, correct?
Correct.
Between then and now. if there's no additional questions or comments, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move to accept ordinance. Did you have a question, Bill?
No,
Okay,
sorry.
I thought you said something.
Just-
2021-13 budget estimates on the first reading,
That's on the second reading.
or second reading. Well, why am I looking at that?
You're looking at last month.
Oh, I got it. I see what happened. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, on
We
the
have a
second
first,
reading,
we-
sorry.
You're good, you're good. We have a first, we have a second by
Looking at the
Bob.
wrong page.
Jan, if you would, roll call, vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Lay.
Yes.
Nathan Conklin.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Peter Frias.
Yes.
All right, new business, ordinance 2021-12, which is the ordinance to amend the zoning map. This was under discussion at the last meeting for carts and parts. Steve and I did meet, just to share my part, obviously except the council, but Steve and I did meet with the owner of Carts and Parts and conveyed some of the concerns that were shared at the last meeting. Number one, he said he did not have any imminent plans for pole barn construction. Is that correct? Did I hear that correctly?
Absolutely.
Okay, I want to make sure I wasn't reading into that. So, so basically, in essence, what you see now is it is what it is right now. The way there was, what if any changes did he mention? He didn't. Did he?
There is no change other
Yeah.
than just continuously cleaning up the property and being able to effectively store and secure the inventory that he manages.
Correct.
I mean, that's the purpose of the fenced-in lot. There is no hidden agenda, there is no secrets. As everybody can attest, I think there's fewer carts on the curb now. And they're also able to get their staff somewhat off the street because they're able to park in the fenced-in area before they get to the fence. So, you know, they know they got some more work to do. They got some more housekeeping issues that they're working on. They are installing a pretty large security camera system, and that's pretty much where it's at. We also discussed, once again, we've discussed multiple times their overall expansion plan, and I don't really think it includes being on that curve.
No.
I think they want to remain in Union City. I think they want to stay in the same general area, but I think they want bigger space, bigger building, and effectively easier access. The curve actually is not very easy to get in and out of, so you know, we're continuously in conversation with them on that as well.
Yeah, in fact, we had some discussions too about the aesthetic standpoint, because it was a kind of a tricky spot for Steve and I going out there, because here you have a business owner who has been just wonderful since he's taken over. I mean, he has exponentially expanded that business. In fact, they won an award last year from one of the suppliers down in Georgia, wasn't it?
EasyGo. Yep.
Yeah, EasyGo, which is a large manufacturer, if not the largest, golf carts, and he was their Rookie of the Year for basically the nation, was it not, or at least half the country?
Correct, nation.
That's what I thought. So, I mean, that's impressive. So here you got a business owner you're wanting to make sure you appeal to and take care of, and then you've got the property owners that you have responsibility to, because you want to make sure I conveyed this to him in so many words that you know, obviously look around and you see the properties are very well maintained, they're very well cared for, they're immaculate, and some of the most beautiful properties in that end of town are right around there. And so I said, you know, they're wanting to make sure that their investment is secure and is protected. And he completely understood where we're coming from. In fact, we had discussions about the posts around, just details even, like growth of the grass up around the bottom of the posts. You know, what can we do to address that? Besides just trimming, what can we do to beautify the posts? Do we rip them out? Are they even serving a purpose there? You know, or does he coat them with something to, you know, dress them up? Or does he put an encasement over them to beautify them and make it look a little bit better, and dress up the corner? We talked about the old community help center sign, you know, getting that addressed and changing that and using it for, and he we got him talking about that and talked about getting something up there from an artistic standpoint that kind of shows the evolution of two different options. One would be either the evolution of that building, because it used to be a grocery store back in the day, and then it was a help center, or it was a hardware store, and then it was a help center, something like that, or artistry that depicts like the evolution of the carts into the golf cart, something that would dress it up and bring beauty and appeal to the corner, to pay, not only to help promote the business and enhance the business, but more importantly, to enhance the curb appeal out of respect for the adjoining property owners. So it was a path that we worked hard to navigate, and he's on board with that. And I think at the end of the day, I think there's the opportunity there for, this is my standpoint, not trying to step on anybody's toes, but I think there's opportunity there for him to advance and for this zoning to advance as presented, but at the same time pay respects to what you guys want to ensure is maintained and protected on your behalf. And so I feel like there's opportunity for compromise there. So that is simply my standpoint. So if you wouldn't mind, state your name and.
Trey Vernon, I live at 322 Lennox. I understand that there's no current plans to do anything with that. Okay. But I feel like down the road, if we go ahead and do this, it'd be too late on our behalf to stop it. You also mentioned last time that there's 2 properties that he's trying to get made commercial. Is it the side lot and the house? What exactly is the second lot he's trying to get commercialized? Because if it is the house, and then later on down the road he does decide to do something with that.
He does not own that. He does not own the house.
Does he want to buy it?
His business partner from Mercer County bought it because it was a good rental option. So his business partner owns the house, and they have plans to basically use it as a rental property, just like many other property owners in this region do.
Yeah, there's a house.
Not to have it rezoned.
So I asked then, what's the second property that he's trying to get rezoned, I guess? That would be my question.
Find it.
House three spot that was there.
Let's see, lot number 27 and 28 in the Lennox Simmons subdivision. That is from the county.
I see 21.1. It's in net 10 properties.
So I guess I have a question, if, kind of advocating on the other side of what's being presented to us. What if we take no action at all on this? Is he in violation already of what you can do with a residential property or plot of land? Because it looks like he's already developed it as a commercial property.
That's one of the questions I have.
From what I've heard from the county, he would be in violation for that, because apparently you can't park any carts on there because it is zoned as residential. And I know he's already did this, and I knew that would be like a bad deal for him, but then on the other hand, I think of, had he took the proper steps and did all that before, he got it all changed before he did anything,
Yeah.
probably wouldn't be in a situation right now.
So it's just that one lot, correct? I mean, it's listed as lot 26 and 7, but it's a one long strip.
Yeah, that's the way I understood it. And it looks like it's developed completely as,
The map I got does not call
Fenced
out
in.
the lot numbers.
Well, I think it's, if you look at the GIS,
On GIS is what says 21.1.
it says 26 and 7.
That's-
So yeah, 21.1, but over here, if you look, where's that at? Right here. Lennox.
26 and 7.
Yep.
Legal description, lot 26 and 7 by 40.
That's what's highlighted there?
Alley
Yep.
north side.
So that's the lot, or lots.
Show the people from the neighborhood there.
This would be, well, you guys live, there's the lot. Where do you guys live?
That's the lot. I'm here.
Okay, you're there.
It's got 26
Where are you?
here.
So it's just that.
28 up there.
Here, right here.
You're right here.
Vacation of the
Well, I'm
alley,
right
the
beside
alley
it,
is
so-
27.
Oh, that's
This is
the
the empty
curve.
house right there. Just where Sean would have lived. So yes, I live right here.
Okay. And where you at?
I'm right behind the property.
You're right there? Okay.
Yeah, he's right at the tail end of the back.
Got you right there.
Now, is that property that's highlighted there, is that what he's already put gravel on and stuff? Is that what he's already developed?
Gravel and fence.
Yeah.
So the answer to Brendan's question is yes, he's in violation, right? of the-
Well, if he doesn't, only if he has parts on.
He's not in violation. You're allowed to put gravel on your own personal property. You're allowed to erect a fence. The violation comes into when you lump his business, commercial property in with mixing it into a residential lot.
Yeah.
So what he's done to the lot, he's perfectly well within his rights to do so. That's allowed.
Okay,
This gentleman said that he put gravel in his yard without notifying his neighbors, no different than what Mr. Wendell did to
Okay.
his property. Now, the conversation is, and this is where it's dangerous, you know, it's, they're coming here saying they would like to see his property cleaned up. Some of the things he needs to do to clean up his property is be able to get his carts off of the curb and make this change. And if this board says, no, we're not going to allow that, then it's going to make it more and more difficult for him to continue doing business in this community. He's trying to be responsive to what the neighborhood is asking. He's made steps, he's made additional investments to do so. It's, I mean, that's a
Thinking
dicey
further down the road,
conversation.
what you do run into the danger of too, because again, he's in the right in putting the gravel on the fence. So if he pulls out the carts, you're still gonna have the gravel on the fence. So do you want an empty lot with gravel and fencing up? Or do you want it actively used and maintained? It's just something to consider. Yeah, I mean, because I would bet the ranch, and this is not just him, speaking of him directly, this is anybody who would own that, they're probably not gonna take the time to dig out the gravel and tear out the fence
No.
and lay new sod.
No,
That's probably not happening.
this isn't a dangerous conversation, but my guess is that's going to be a reason for him to look elsewhere. I mean, you've got other communities actively pursuing him to relocate his business. And again, he's being responsible and responsive to the community because you've asked him to clean up his lot, and that's what he's trying to do.
As a council, we're supposed to work on behalf of our citizens and our businesses. It makes it a difficult decision, but what would you guys, I mean, has anybody thought about what's your ideal solution?
So did we determine the house is not part of
The house is
The
not
house
part
is
of
not,
it.
Correct.
yeah.
Okay. So was it, when, last meeting, we said 2 properties that we're trying to.
There's an alleyway that they're asking for vacation, which is,
Trey, here's the conversation, because I run into this with my property. All of those old neighborhoods have been platted with front and backs. So because there was an old alleyway that was actually platted at the county, there was a front lot and a back lot, they've been merged together at some point in time, but they're not really merged together because they still have 2 parcel numbers.
yeah, right.
So I own 4 acres and I have 38 building lots within those 4 acres. That's hard to believe, but that's actually what my property's broken down into at the county. So my guess is the fact that it's 2 lots is, they're vacating that because that's actually how it's platted, but it's still just one rectangular shaped lot.
Does that help?
a little bit.
A little bit?
Is there still a solution that you guys would like to see from
Joel, if
this?
you would go ahead and stand, state your name.
Yeah, Joel Branningham, 321 Fairfax. I'm not upset or complaining about anything as far as the business is concerned. He's been great. I have no issue, certainly with growing expanse. What do I want to see? You know, I mean, I've lived there 13 years now, so same house, and it's you know, things have improved in that general area, and that's great. And I want businesses to expand. I have no problem with, you know, how the business is run currently or whatever. One thing I was curious about was the house directly south of me. And also what's gonna happen in the future. Again, if they sell the business, move it, whatever, in the next few years, then what is gonna happen with that gravel lot? What's gonna happen with a lot of that? And what could happen in the future? And so I'm not nearly as concerned about what's happening now or what he's already done, but more concerned about what's gonna happen, or what could happen in the future.
None of us have that crystal ball. I'll tell you, as long as I'm here, we're going to be aggressively marketing to a new business to relocate there. I don't know, but there's no way we can identify what that may be.
It's been, and the fact of the matter, that corner has been commercially zoned for, what, 40 years, 50 years?
Longer than that.
Longer than
Longer
that,
than
60,
that.
70 years. So this has always been commercially zoned, so.
Well, predates zoning, since zoning's existed.
Oh, yeah, there you go. So, our best path forward is everything we can do to keep what is in there now functioning well, so it enhances the opportunity for it to stay nice. And then if he does expand, if he expands into, say, the open lot across from Lincolndale Plaza, that open grassy lot, say he would expand there someday. Think futuristically, as a still existing business owner in Union City, from a PR perspective, he's not gonna want that corner to go to hell in a handbasket, because that's gonna be a bad reflection upon him as a local guy. So there's gonna be incentive there on both our behalf and his to make sure that corner is sold and cared for. Or if he owns it and rents it out, whatever the case would be, there's valid reason for it to be maintained. Can I guarantee that? Absolutely not. I can't guarantee, in all fairness to him, that you guys don't move out and something really bad goes into your places. And now he's left holding the cards, or without any cards, so to speak, because he's got dilapidated properties around him and he's trying to run a business. So it does go both ways.
They're trying to sell his business.
Yeah, because if he tries to sell his place and he's got houses that are overgrown around him, which are not, your places are beautiful. They are, as I said earlier.
Could be.
But,
Could.
yeah, it could be the case, so I mean, that's why I go back to the neighborly thing is so huge. That's why it's a shame we have to do ordinances, but it's because as neighbors, we owe it to each other to take care of each other. So if he does what he has stated, which we know it doesn't include the house, it's just what he has there. He's working hard to make continued improvements. He continues that path. My hope is that you guys would see validity in that and see great value in what he's trying to accomplish. And that a utilized space is exponentially better than a soon-to-be vacated space that now all of a sudden has weeds growing up. And if you don't mind indulging me for a second, Keen's Auto Lot, before Keen's Car Lot was down the corner, which they run a tight ship and it's always nice and immaculate down the corner of East Main Street on the Ohio side. I grew up next door to it. Before he was in there, the sales lot that went out, they let it go to you-know-where. And I remember I was so mad because my dad made me go over there. We didn't even own the property. And I had to go over there with a machete and cut down weeds that were taller than me through the whole lot, because you couldn't even see the building anymore because it was so overgrown, because it was empty and abandoned. So, I mean, we wouldn't let get to that with our ordinances, but at the same time, our ordinances is to keep it, so the weeds aren't eye high, but it's not gonna say it's gonna look immaculate. So I mean.
My thoughts are we've got 3 individuals that live in the community that have come to 2 council meetings. They're not happy about something. So if we say okay to this, are you guys ticked at the city council? Or if we make sure that it's continued to be maintained like we're trying to do with every other property, are you 3 individuals content?
I will be, because I've had a number of questions. I just came in the last meeting having a ton of questions because I wasn't sure, I was hearing different things and I wanted answers to some questions and some things confirmed, and those questions have been answered. And I feel a lot better about it. I mean, and also, again, I was just concerned about the futures, like what it could, if he sells it, what could be built on that property and things like that. I'm just trying to find out. I'm not here, trying to, beat the drum and protest this happening, because that's not where I'm coming from, but
Okay.
I'm fine with that, I wouldn't be upset with you guys at all.
I'm just trying to protect my interests, my property, so. That's why I'm here.
But is it okay, like, are you okay with your interests if we,
And all right, I guess if he doesn't, as long as he doesn't have access to the house as far as making that commercial in any way, you guys can guarantee me that that house ain't got nothing to do with what we're talking about tonight, I would probably be okay with that. But if that house is in any way tied to that, I'm not for it.
It's not.
I'll tell you,
Yeah.
I'll tell you my view on that a little bit, in that I'm not real crazy about a lot of just random creep into residential. But one of the things you have with that, my grandfather actually developed part of that neighborhood at one time. And there were several lots there that that didn't get built on because they were kind of at the tail end and close to the highway and so forth. And that's one of the reasons was vacant for so long, is that nobody wanted to build next to the parking lot for the grocery store and so forth. And so if they didn't do it in the 50s, nobody was gonna develop that now. So, and I would have a very dim view of, I'll restate that. I would be an absolute no on any entertaining of changing the zoning on that house that's in question. I won't even, like I say, I won't even, there's no way that I could possibly ever entertain that. I don't think area planning would be too.
No, and that's what,
the
I just reread
zoning
it and
appeals
looked
would.
at GIS.
But, yeah,
It literally says just that vacant lot.
yeah.
It is saying a vacation of the alley lying north of lots 27 and 28, and that would be that house. They're not asking for the house to be done anything with the house, but they are asking for what was supposed to be an alley 50 years ago that goes behind that house.
Yeah,
To be vacated.
between mine and theirs,
Yeah,
but
yeah. But that is not in question what the county approved or what is in front of us tonight.
And how about you, sir? How about you? What's your view on, you agree with your neighbors there?
I'm a 63-year-old grouchy old man. Do you think I'm gonna get hear anything I want to hear?
No, but to circle back on what the mayor said earlier, you are entitled to an opinion.
I think keep it clean. I don't have any problem with what's going on now. I just don't want to see the house come down and the big barn go up.
No.
Okay.
House is not in question.
yeah, that's, I think we tend to agree with you there on that. But, I think that, in terms of keeping things in order, that they're gonna be, especially with some of the things that they'd like to have happen in the future, they're gonna be amenable if there are any issues, that it can be addressed. If you have issues, bring it to us.
Yeah.
Bring it to the,
Please do, because I even asked him about, okay, what's up with this? He's got a sign out there, like one of the pointer signs, and that's to be, he knows he
He's
needs.
wheeling and dealing on it.
Yeah,
He
he's
just
trying
hasn't made
he's trying to
the
unload that, to get that out there, he knows
That
that
was
doesn't need to be
left.
there. And there's another thing next to it that he's not wanting there.
That was
either.
just a pallet from one of the deliveries that he received, and they just haven't picked it up yet.
Yeah, so because trust me, you know where I live, I'm very particular, where it drives myself nuts, let alone my family. And so I don't like seeing that stuff laying out, I want it kept immaculate. So, yeah, so by all means, continue to be our eyes and ears, because if you see something that you're not agreeing with, let us know. Because he has no ill intentions in terms of not taking care of his property. I think he gets so busy, sometimes things get out of his, what I'm saying, he gets busy with carts coming and going and so forth, and it's easy to be like, oh, I forgot that's over there, I need to get that taken care of, because I think we go through that with our own places even. There's things you want to do, and you lose sight of it, or you get busy. So he's very open and receptive, to that kind of dialogue, so we need to keep that open. So, do you guys feel like you have what you need?
I think so.
Who wants to step out onto the water first?
I move that we adopt ordinance number 2021-12, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of Union City and the county of Randolph, state of Indiana.
We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Jan, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
yes.
Bob Lane.
Yes.
Nathan Conklin.
Yes.
Tim Heiss,
yes.
Peter Truitt.
Yes.
Is it warm in here?
Yes.
Check the air. I thought maybe it was
It's only 77 degrees, no big deal.
Holy smokes, sorry. And I owe a tremendous apology to two young individuals in the room that I totally bypassed because we had the table set up with their nameplates. Miss Carly Rissmiller and Miss Braden Hoggett, or Braden, what do they call me? Braden Hoggett. It's a pleasure to have you both here. Seniors at Union City, or Randolph Eastern Community High School, so I just want to thank you for being here. Is there anything that you guys would like to ask or add from the school perspective?
Next time we'll ask you at the end of city attorney, right?
Yes.
At the bottom.
Okay. Yes.
Anything, we'd like to hear what's going on at the school, because I'm disconnected for another couple of years till my kids are there. And he doesn't have kids there anymore, so anything interesting that you can tell us is always good to hear.
Honestly, nothing super big has happened recently, but I would beg to say that come next meeting, we'll probably be able to discuss some stuff.
Well, when does basketball start, Carly? Are you playing again?
Yeah,
awesome. Next week. Super. And then Braden, you just recently finished a sectional championship run for Union City Tennis.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And you're a finalist, you're a top 5 finalist for the Lilly Scholarship. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So 2 very distinguished individuals with us in the room tonight. So thank you.
Homecoming king.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. That I think your dad is still choked up about.
Probably, yeah.
So we'll welcome. And again, my apologies. Ordinance 2021-14, which is the salary ordinance, that's on the first reading. What questions and comments do you have?
I have a concern.
Yes.
The salary says to add, I don't know if I should mention it, so adding a big chunk to the city manager's salary and a large chunk to the assistant city manager's salary, so that they can take care of the wastewater, right, treatment plant, and so that those monies will be coming from that budget. In my view, I don't know how others feel about it, I think that our assistant city manager, Steve Shoemaker, and city manager are doing an amazing job. The progress that we are all getting celebrated for in downtown Union City, the events that are happening around town. I mean, I really am, I was serious when I said 99.99% is gushing positive, please convey our thanks to the city council and to Mr. Mayor. They do a fantastic job and earn their keep, but if we add to their responsibilities, I'm concerned that would take them away and would detract from this momentum that we've gotten. So they've created this amazing momentum. They have a lot on their plates, a lot of responsibility. To add more, I think would do us a disservice and would do them a disservice.
We already manage the wastewater plant day to day. We do that for utilities. I don't think we're adding any responsibilities to what Monty and I do on a day-to-day basis.
Do you? There's no change.
I don't even know what.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you don't mind, can you just can you point out where you're at?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Tino.
Give me a moment to find my place. I have my notes apart.
What I'm looking at, it's like $19.
Yeah, there's like small change.
$19 from
From my
2021 to
perspective, you can
2022.
keep it.
It's not the total dollar amount, it is just an adjustment of
Are you on page
$19.
4 under mayor's office? This is the bi-weekly from 2021 to 2022? Is that where we're at?
One moment.
And then that's $3.
Yes, the top of page 5. Top of page 5.
Oh, I see, where it shall be paid from the sewage operating fund and water, yeah, they do oversee those facilities and have.
Currently.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Why don't we pay them already?
we have been.
We have, yeah, that's part of their.
So what?
Tito,
Why is
here,
it-
let me
that's-
show you what
Because
they're
some
going
people
on.
pay- Huh?
Here's the changes, sir, 2021 and 2022.
Yes.
2021 to 2022. That's the dollar amount change. That's what's
Wait.
being paid in
What-
2021.
What is this amount then?
It is clarifying
That's
that
the split.
is the split that broken down does that on an annual basis.
Okay.
Yeah, those aren't the, oh, well, yeah, good clarity.
Yeah,
That's
that's not
not
in
the
it.
amount that's being increased.
No, it's
Oh.
from that number to that number. It's literally
Gotcha.
$19.30.
Thank you.
Yeah, trust me, I would have had a stroke.
I was having a stroke.
No, and then here, like you see, $3, $10 to 12, 10 to 12, 13 to 15. That's the column versus
Gotcha.
column.
That's just clarifying what funds it.
Okay.
No,
Those
good call.
amounts come
All
out.
right, no.
Yeah.
I'm
Thank
good.
you for bringing-
Thank you for the
Yeah.
clarifying.
Yep, we've all been there.
Good clarifying question. Anybody else have anything that stood out to them or anything they want clarity on?
I move that we approve ordinance 2021-14 salary ordinance on the first reading.
We have a first on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Jan, if you would, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Andrew Conklin,
Yes. I got a point after the vote.
Tito Frias.
Yes.
Okay, and your point is?
What board do we have to be on to increase the Board of Public Works and Safety members?
What board do you have to be on to increase the?
Yeah, that stayed the same for, I think, the last 4
It
years.
stayed the same, it's the same as council.
Yeah, I
It
know.
did not stay the same
That's
last
fine.
years, it was raised last
Was it
It was
raised?
raised last year.
Okay.
Yeah, it's same as.
I didn't think it had been for a couple of years.
Yeah,
so.
no, it's been.
I knew for a
just
long time,
Parallels council.
for like $12 years, it was the same dollar amount,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I want to make sure it's not.
Right, it was actually changed last year.
Okay.
Just to bring it up with the
Went a
council.
little bit up.
From our public hearing, resolution 2021-R-09, which is the additional appropriations. We had no question, well, did we field one question? We fielded maybe one question, but obviously this is what we just had a public hearing. So it's regarding the ARP clarification. So we're creating an additional appropriation for that, for the ARP funds.
We've already voted
Yeah.
on it 3 times. This is
No.
making sure it's
Sorry.
legitimate.
I have one question, one stupid question. So we've granted child advocacy $10,000, are we have to do an additional appropriation for that
Good
then
Lord,
too?
that's actually a trick, that's not a stupid question.
If that money's to be paid, yes, we will.
Okay.
We would for each one, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I-
at least they'll come up with 500
Next
endeavors to
year,
vote
no,
for.
because that's why I appropriated it for next year, but this year it was a brand new fund, the money was never appropriated.
Right.
And I sat in on a, what do you call it, a workshop or whatever, and I had in my notes that it didn't have to be appropriated, it was a special fund, you have to do that. Well, they must have changed their minds, I don't know, but I was told that I had to, so that's why we're appropriating funds. And yes, we will have to do an additional appropriation for 10,000 if that's gonna be paid this year. If it's gonna be paid next year, then no.
And I guess part of the reason I asked that, then if we have other things that we're gonna do this year, can we kind of
Yeah.
streamline this all together so we don't run Jan into the ground doing special
If
appropriations?
we can, yeah.
Near the end
Additional
of the
appropriation.
time, we can do it anyway. We can only do it up through like the middle of November.
Okay, well,
Good
So
question.
yeah, if we're gonna do one more.
so if we could maybe try to get everything and do it one more, cover everything we're gonna do, whatever it happens to be, so, okay.
I move that we approve resolution 2021-R-09 additional appropriations by title only.
We have a first, do we have a second?
Second.
Jan, if you would, sorry, one last time.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Andrew Conklin.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Peter Frias.
Yes.
All right. We do have one addition after farm ground. I want to obviously cover farm ground first, under new business. This should basically transition nicely into what the next subject matter is. This is what's on Plum, correct?
Yes, and I bring this up every year because I never know whether to,
Bid it.
have bid it or, or just leave it with the current owner, or not current renter. 'Cause, stick with them. I mean, it's up to council whether you want to bid it out or not.
Given the plans and hopes we're trying to do, I don't know. I think we have to talk to the engineers to even see, can it be potentially farmed half of it for 2 years while we do the front half, or
Phase two.
the whole thing has to be torn
I
up?
think in conversation, that's going to be something that theoretically could be done, but we have to get the infrastructure connected to wastewater and
Yeah.
everything. And if everything rolls in a reasonably adequate speed out there, I would think that would all be done before they have to put seed in the ground. So I think theoretically, we could cash rent half of it, but a lot of things have to fall into place in order for that to take place.
But if we don't have the infrastructure in by the time it would need to be planted, we would need to ask them to not plant for a year, and then potentially.
Well, we have to create it, yeah, we have to create a contract or have a contract that covers us and how we deal with it.
Right, and we're not extending roads and stuff that far, but we still have to connect
Yeah.
everything. And it's my understanding that some of that will be out into phase two.
Yeah.
I just don't know what that looks like just yet.
They would be farming over installed infrastructure?
No.
They're farming over installed infrastructure right now.
But if we have to put infrastructure in,
There's water.
they would either have to not farm it, not plant it, or it could be where you'd have, so one of the things you run into sometimes, if they input, and they have input costs, then if you can have in a contract where you have to reimburse for that. And so we need to kind of tread carefully on how we do this.
To
I
answer
really
your
think we'll
question-
be a lot farther along and know more within the next 2 meetings.
Yeah.
I don't know when we have to put this out for bid, but I think we'll know more what we're going to have access to and what we're not within the next couple of council meetings.
Two things. One, yes, if you go out there when the crops are down, there are manhole covers. So yes, there already goes through that field. He already avoids those right now. Is it possible, who contacts the existing farmer?
Jan is always taking care of it.
Can you get a date for when he would need to know, the end of this year, to put in the end of year fertilizer treatment?
Yeah,
And then that gives us an idea of a hard stop of when we say yes, no, talk to you next year.
And I can probably reach out to Moats and get that answer as far as
My
how much
inclination
into phase two they need to be doing work.
would be to continue with the current renter and to work with, because as opposed to putting it out to bid and then having to, if you have a new bidder, somebody else, then you award it, then you go through this whole thing. We have somebody now that we feel that we can talk to and work with.
trust,
It's gonna simplify this a little bit.
Yeah, my understanding is he's flexible, and we
Yeah,
tell him, hey,
he's-
the back 30 acres, you can farm it. We good with that? And he'll be like, okay, write the contract, so.
Yeah.
The other conversation you guys need to look at is, we're gonna have limited access except to, on brand new roads for all his equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What side does he access from? Like,
Plum
Right now,
Street.
off of Plum Street.
Off of Plum.
And
Is there no other access from the backside, from Jackson?
I think the fence on the wastewater plant has shut off anything
Okay.
else.
Yeah,
coming
I
from
think
the
so,
lake.
It's pretty much shut off.
I would have to go take a look and see if we could get him in there another way, but I believe he pretty much uses the windmill drive, which
Right.
is theoretically going to be brand new asphalt and a new housing development.
Gotcha. I definitely think the current occupant, or leasee is, it makes sense to stick with him for the time being.
Particularly since he's an area person, that's,
Right.
because a lot of times we get bidders from far enough away then.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Is it possible to go to the south side of the fence where the telephone poles are? I know you could probably walk it, but I don't know if farm equipment.
Say that again.
The south side of the wastewater treatment fence, I know the city has an easement there.
I would just have to look at that and see how wide it was.
Okay, that's what I don't know.
He also may be able to access it like at the end of Lynn or the end of Park, because Boggs extension that's never been put in would dump him out into that field, so we would just have to be creative and see how we could get him in there.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that, have to look at that map.
I mean, Park extension would be the ideal, because that's just all grass. I mean, the hard surface is there, it's just under all that grass, and we may have to trim a few trees, but that ain't no big deal.
So we have a consensus to just maintain as we are right now? Is that
Yep.
consensus? Okay. Jane, is that good enough?
I think definitely have the conversation of, hey, when do this last, when do you put that final treatment on before winter? So we can have a clear communication as things continue to develop with Moat and Associates.
Well, and with that being said, the one addition I have to new business would be, and I can't stress enough, this is not for any exchange of land, funds, this is not granting approval for infrastructure or anything of that nature, but the builder that presented to you guys a couple weeks ago, Ricky Ward Construction, referred by Senator Rotz, it would like to have a consensus vote from the council to a green light for him being the builder of choice for those properties. Now again, the city owns the land, retaining ownership. This is no vote for who's doing the infrastructure, who's putting in the sewer, water, or the lines and the road and all that. That's after Moat and Associates is completely done with their deal. And this is to give, the reason why he wants the council's approval as the builder of choice is because he wants to submit, he works with engineers as well and construction firms, he wants to submit a bid through the engineers he's used to working with for the infrastructure. Because he knows we as a civic entity have to garner at least 3 bids from outside entities. He wants to be one of those bids to be considered. But he doesn't want to go through the rigmarole of gathering those folks he works with, having them submitting a bid, if he's not going to even get to build the project, to be the builder for the project. Because then he has no interest in being a part of the project if he's not going to be the builder of the homes, if that makes sense.
And to give a little more background between Mr. Mayor, Steve, and myself, I think we've talked to 6 different builders.
Correct.
4, I know that we've kind of toured and looked at their website, looked at the buildings. This individual's reasonably priced, has a good standing history, although it is a little bit further south in North Carolina. He's got good properties from everything that he's built and ready and willing to put the boots on the ground here. I know from what I've seen, I like him. He's the best option in my mind.
But again, the city routines is in the driver's seat in this situation. I can't stress that enough. This is simply to give him a green light to move forward, so he will take the time to get a bid put forth for the infrastructure once Moat and Associates is done with their.
Some of the other things that he's talked to me about, your consensus vote tonight is going to actually enable him to go to his money guys, and they're going to be able to start putting the financing package together so that we're not delaying the build time when we're ready to start building properties, when we got pads setting out there in a new neighborhood. All that stuff it can be started early when he knows he's the builder.
And the plan that we discussed at area planning is we're not going to put for sale signs in every lot and let some random builder come in. The plan is a partnership between the city and Ricky Ward Construction to build 3 houses at a time, sell them. He's going to then exchange, which we're still trying to figure out how the exchange of properties will be set up, because we're still waiting on financial numbers from Moat and Associates as well as the TIF, how that exchange would work. He would not own the property until he's about to build on it. When he builds on it, he'll then build a house, and then it'll be turned around for sale in the community, and it's meeting all of our expectations and thoughts on what we want it all to look like.
Doesn't that seem like a perversion of the process? When you're doing a huge infrastructure development like this, you want 3 bids, equal chance. And then you decide based on the technical proposals and the budget, which one you want. You don't decide first, okay, I promise you to get one, and then do a bid for show. It's like we're doing the whole thing for show.
We're not doing it for show. We're going to submit through Moat and Associates a formal bid request, and everything will be above board. Ricky Ward-
Except that we're deciding
If
beforehand.
XYZ company out of Fort Recovery outbids him to put the infrastructure in,
They're
putting the infrastructure in. But we, as a council, because the city owns the property, we wanna line up with a builder who we agree with and is willing to work with us on the size of the lots, on the width of the roads.
This consensus vote is only identifying the builder of the homes.
Yeah, we're not saying we're even
That's
using
all
his
we're
company.
So wait a minute, are we doing
His-
bids for this, the builders of the homes?
No.
Shouldn't we have 3 bids for the builders?
We have fielded, well, we fielded, what's the outfit out of Indianapolis?
Well, multiple. I mean, Bridgewater Homes, Bridge North Homes, Bonanza and Arcanum.
But what's the outfit out of Indianapolis that would come down to him and Ricky Ward?
Carl,
McIntyre.
yeah,
Thank you,
McIntyre Homes.
thank you. And his homes were $75,000 more and up. For the models that you guys looked at, the models that you guys have, he was more expensive.
He was charging Carmel prices in Union City.
Yeah, and they're just not gonna sell.
These neighborhoods, Tito, are built by a builder that's going to come in with crews, with subcontractors, and they're going to build multiple homes at a time. It's not going to be a 25-year process to build 25 homes in phase 1. They're going to build them as fast as they possibly can get them out of the ground and built.
Okay, but I'm
And
sorry, I'm
that's-
still not clear. Well, that's my first question. We're eventually, how many bids are we doing, right? Are we doing a bid for just the builders?
We're not doing any bids today. We're not voting on that.
I know.
We're voting for a consensus decision that Ricky Ward Construction is going to be the builder of the housing development. That means only that he's building the homes themselves.
And to put this into perspective, how a housing addition typically works is a big company comes in and says, I'm gonna buy this 60 acres, I'm going to put as many houses on this as I choose, I don't care what the city community wants. Whereas what we're doing as a community is making sure the lots and everything fit the neighborhood, the want of everything that we've talked to multiple different realtors, the streets that we want, the curbs, the sidewalks, everything that we want fit. Whereas if we just sold it, we have no say. So if somebody wanted to come in and say, I'll give you X dollars for the Plum Street addition that's 62 acres. Well, then we have zero say in what the sidewalks look like. Excuse me, we have some say in what the sidewalks look like. But this way, if we want them a nice width, we get there's a green space between the sidewalk and the street, what the streets look like, what the lot sizes are. The individual out of Indianapolis, Bridge North Homes, Mike, he wanted to put 135 houses out there.
Been on top of each other.
A house would have been on the size of a lot that were in this region.
Essentially what he was gonna do is he's gonna take the minimum lot size he could put
Yep.
in there. They calculated the minimum lot size, and that's how many lots he got, because a builder like that wants to build the maximum number of homes.
They're
And that was
maximizing
one of the
profits.
things early on, that when Nathan and I had discussions about this, I said, I don't care that we build 150 homes someplace, I wanna build the proper amount of homes for that area, because property is relatively cheap here. But quality is what we're looking for. We want to have people have a reason to be here, and that's one of the things we need to do. to attract that. But
Does that help clarify, Tito, or is it still confusing?
and we're still not exactly giving him a contract at this point to
No.
do this, this is a consensus.
No, Russell Brown, the attorney
Yeah.
from Indianapolis, will draft the contract before anything is
Yeah.
officially.
So we're not
done.
actually gonna be contractually obligated to him at this point either.
He just wants to know he has a consensus
He has a
approval from
consensus
the
that-
council
Yeah,
to build
yeah.
when that
And-
day comes.
And if he bids and he's the low bidder, so on the infrastructure, so be it.
And if
all
he's
the
not,
better,
then
if he's
so
not
be
the
it as
low
well.
bidder,
Yeah.
then he builds houses and somebody else builds the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a bidding process.
Eventually, not yet, but yeah,
So, let me finish the sentence. So, there's a bidding process for the infrastructure.
right.
Correct.
So, okay, but what we're talking about now is the building the houses, which is different, right? So, my question to you all is, I mean,
And
are
keep
we
in mind,
gonna
we're
have
not
a
paying
bidding
for the building of
process?
the
So we're not
homes.
paying for the homes.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we're not paying for the building of the homes.
Yeah.
That's the homeowner.
Yeah.
Oh, we're
We're
paying
not-
for the
We're paying for
infrastructure.
the
Right.
infrastructure, but we're not,
Gotcha.
we will never pay for the homes
Right.
themselves, so.
So-
Gotcha, okay.
If that holds.
It helps.
And like,
Thank you.
like Nathan said, if we could put out the whole farm to bid and seek the highest dollar number for the ground and let the chips fall where they may, or we can keep control of it. Because the biggest thing here is keeping control of this process so it doesn't get away and turn into something completely different than what the vision is.
Exactly.
Okay,
What's best for
so
the
just to
community.
clarify why I'm asking this to the public, right? When the city is going to use tax dollars to undertake a large infrastructural development, there must be 3 bids from 3
Correct.
separate entities, and then you choose based on technology,
Absolutely.
technique, and everything,
Yes.
et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But in this case, my concern has been, is the building of the houses. The city is not going to spend
Correct.
one penny to build those houses.
Correct.
So it's a
Correct.
different, thank you very much.
We'll
No, no,
actually be a
good
recipient on
clarification.
the sale of the property.
Good
Thank
clarification.
you very much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I agree. Let's, shall we go ahead and?
We just need consensus, because we're really not, it's not expenditure of funds or anything, so, would you guys approve of him being builder, Ricky Ward?
Yep.
So,
Yes.
okay, very good.
And this is phase 1. At phase 2 and 3, we could potentially change our minds and go with another builder, but for this,
Right.
phase 1 is 23 houses.
So we don't relinquish
phase
the
one.
land, yeah. So, visitors wishing to address the council, if there's any, we ask that you, stand, state your name and the nature of your business. If not, the date of the next council meeting is Monday, October 25th at 6 PM, 6 days until Halloween, that's insane. The date of the next Board of Public Works meeting is Monday, also October 25th at 1 PM. I would hereby entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
We have a first, a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Yeah, it's